it important? It's very crucial.
Groovy.
Little stereo.
I'll say kick it, and you'll just kick it with a tasty groove, okay? 1, 2, 3, kick it.
Woo! Oh, hi, Mark.
He likes.
It's time for the most crucial podcast with your host, me, Mark Franchise.
Meow.
Welcome back to the most crucial podcast. It is Mark Franchise, 1049 The Edge. Much love to everybody who has subscribed to 1049 The Edge on YouTube as well. Make sure you check it out. A bunch of sweet interviews we've had the chance to do this year, and we continue to keep it rolling with local music. That's what it's all about. That's what Town Square Media is all about, keeping it local, and that's what I'm all about. And there's so many bands out there, especially in Michigan, who don't have the publicity that they deserve, publicity that they need to get their music out there, that deserves to be heard. And that's what this podcast at the end of the day is all about. So joining me today is This Is Not the End, a band based in Kalamazoo. And we got Mitch in the building.
Howdy.
We got Nevin chilling.
Hello.
Anthony.
Hello.
And Dagan.
Hello there.
Aha, welcome. Welcome, fine sis. So you guys are from Kalamazoo. When did this band get formed originally?
Oh, man. We formed the band about a year ago now,
okay.
I'd say. Yeah.
Perfect. And now this isn't... You guys are pretty experienced musicians. You've been playing for quite some time now, right?
Yeah. Personally, I've been playing for like 14 years now.
Wow, okay. And that's bass, right?
Yeah, bass
Okay,
guitar.
cool.
Yeah, I've been playing about a decade. I've been in working bands.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And now This Is the End. How did that kind of come together? Now, Mitch, this was your brainchild, basically, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, was there another band that you were involved in before this that kind of led up into the new project?
No, man. I was trying to write the album throughout college and trying to find people for 3+ years.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find any serious people, any serious musicians.
Right.
So I was just sitting on all these demos. And a buddy I know in Las Vegas said that he'd record one of my songs. So
nice.
I went there, recorded the tune in 2017 called Shoot Me Down, which is on our album. And as we were listening to the song, I came up with the name for the band, This Is Not the End, because that's kind of what I want it to make. You know, I want people to feel like this is not the end.
Right,
like, no matter
absolutely.
what they're going through, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's tough, too, especially when, life just kind of sets in. And I had this conversation with a friend the other day where it's just like you try to stay positive all day long. You try to project that positive energy. And sometimes, 99 times out of 100, you're going to be fine. And then it seems like at night when you're by yourself and with your thoughts, it can be your worst enemy.
That's when it gets bad.
Those daggers can hit. And it's important to have music like that with a solid message behind it. And I've always been drawn to songs and music that have that kind of message in it. And, another one of the main reasons I wanted to bring you guys in as well, because it seems like you have a pretty positive message in your music.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. Now, what would you say your personal influences are growing up? Which artists did you kind of aspire to, not necessarily be like, but which artists really kind of gave you that motivation?
Oh, man. A whole bunch of artists. I'd say My Chemical Romance is a big influence for me and for all of us.
Yeah, all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And probably Tom Petty and AC/DC.
Yep.
Those are two big influences for me too.
Absolutely. What about you guys? Like, who are your favorite musicians to listen to in your craft?
Oh, man. Yeah, me, I guess, Breaking Benjamin's probably my favorite band of all time.
Nice.
Yeah. And a lot of my music that I write, like my personal stuff that I personally write is, kind of that harder rock alternative metal style.
Right.
Of course, there is like the pop punk, man, I do love. Like, I love Sum 41,
Yeah.
stuff like that. But also, like, the Smashing Pumpkins has always been, I got a Smashing Pumpkins tattoo on my arm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Highly influential. Well, especially in the 90s, too. They came out, and it was just like, again, so there was that big wave of music in the 90s from spanning all genres. That you had Poison and, Motley Crue and all these guys that were glammed out. And then, Melvins and Nirvana showed up and just kicked them all in the balls and was like,
right.
Yep, see ya. And the eye of rock music completely shifted to alternative. And it was just, the 90s were such a beautiful time in music.
Yeah, oh yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
So how did you all come together? Like, how did you meet these guys, and did you know any of them prior to This Is Not the End?
No, no, not Tinder.
I was a gift from Craigslist.
Yes, he was. So first off, I met Dagan first through this weird band app.
Okay.
And we met, we got along, and then we searched for other people, and what we found, our first guitarist found us Anthony, and then Anthony stuck, and he brought us Nevin, and
Cool.
it all just kind of fell into place. It was really cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Nevin and I have been in, 3 or 4 different bands together. We've played together for years, and as soon as we knew we were looking for another guitar player, I'm like, I got to get my buddy involved because I know he's reliable, I know he can play, and
Anthony. He messaged me the one day. He's like, "Oh man, I'm in a band now," because our band just broke up, Great Lakes Riot, that we were in, and I wasn't doing music, and Anthony's like, "Yeah, I've finally gotten a band." He's like, "I answered an ad on Craigslist," and I was like, "Oh, okay, let's hear it. Let's see how bad this is. Send me a link." And he sent me the link, and I'm like, "I need to get in this band right now."
That's awesome.
Yeah, this sounds great. Oh,
and that's super helpful too when you've got 2 guys, bass and guitar, that have worked together, played together in 3 or 4 different bands, and then you come together with a project that you audibly really like, and you get involved with it. That just, a lot of people, even someone the other night was talking like, I wonder how these bands communicate with each other and understand each other, because they'll just be jamming for, minutes and minutes. Like they'll go like, and I've seen, guitarists like Carlos Santana, where he'll just start flying and the band is playing around him and he'll just kind of give them looks like, okay, here we go.
And they know what
this
to
is
do.
the transition. Yeah. This is the thing we talked about, and they know where to go from there. And then they were like, I don't know how they do that. I was like, it comes from practice and understanding the type of player you are.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It really
a
is.
lot of chemistry, man. Like, you get that you get jiving with people, and then it's almost like muscle memory, man. You don't even have to think about it,
Right, absolutely. It becomes second nature.
Yeah, exactly, man. Like, you get the right drummer, the right bass player, the right guitar player, and it's
when everyone's on that same wavelength. We have that sometimes where we'll be jamming, and in my head I'll be like, all right, I know that we're going to go to this part, we're going to slow it down right here, and I'll just look over, and then everybody else goes into that. Like, they were thinking the same thing too, but we never audibly communicated that. It was just like, you know what to do.
Yeah,
it just
exactly.
feels right. Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's also so... Yes.
Of course.
Like the X-Men.
The first album that you guys have done together, it's the debut album from This Is Not the End. It's called Grin And Bear It. Where did you record that at?
Oh man, we recorded in 3 different places. Zoinga Recording Studio in Detroit. We recorded most of the songs there. We recorded at True North in Las Vegas. And what was
Broadside Productions?
Yeah, here in Kalamazoo.
Yeah, with Mike Gibb right here in Kalamazoo.
Wow, what took you out to Las Vegas?
That was the first person to give me a chance to record.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, was this the song that you recorded in 2017?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that made me take everything seriously, because I just was writing songs.
Yeah.
And then I got it recorded, and I was like, oh shit, maybe I can actually do this.
Right.
This sounds good.
Sweet. So the song that's on Grin and Bear It, that was actually recorded in Las Vegas, the whole thing, right?
Yeah, the whole Shoot Me Down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So you got 3 different studios, but that's the thing. You wouldn't really know, because the consistency of the quality of the music, it does stay consistent throughout the entire album. That's, like I said, that's one of the things that stood out to me right off the bat, was that how crisp everything sounded. And with, a self-funded project, that some people just don't have the finances, because you can make it happen. It's just, you're going to be investing a lot into it. But you can tell that you cared about the quality of music. You didn't want to just go out there and just put something out that, you're taking
definitely
it seriously.
not. Yeah.
It's like, once you put it out there, it's out there forever. And
Exactly.
Right. You don't want to have to redo it. You know,
Exactly.
you want it to be the best quality as possible, and that was the big standout thing for me. So what was the process like recording that together? Was it pretty simple?
Yeah, it was pretty simple. I mean, most of the songs I had demoed out, and then I just sent the guys the demos, and they knew what to do.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
We'd figure out our parts. We'd sit around and listen to for me personally, I just listen to the demo, and I just kind of sit and figure out what I think would sound good, and then I'd bring it to practice, and then if they liked it, they'd be like, that's cool.
Most of the times we liked it.
Yeah. They'd be like, maybe try something a little different there. So it was very much we got to write our own parts for it, so that was nice.
That's cool. Now, did you record it live, or were you guys playing off of a certain track?
Yeah, it was tracked out.
Okay.
Yeah.
For sure. I know some bands, they prefer to record live. Other
Yeah.
bands, they track out and they play to another instrument. So I was
Yeah.
curious if what avenue that you guys took for that.
It'd be
Yeah,
cool
just-
to
yeah.
record live in the future.
Oh, absolutely.
See,
Yeah.
Me and Anthony, every time we went to the studio with our last bands, we did live sessions, and then overdub. So, but yeah, it's like doing the every track by itself, and then using a metronome.
Yeah.
Doing everything, you get that quality. You
It's
get
crisp.
that perfect. Yeah, you
Yeah.
get that
And tight.
perfection. that you can't really get live. But at the same time, the live songs I do like 'cause it's got that feel.
Absolutely.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you find the right person and the right venue, they may, sometimes you can get a recording right from the board, like from the soundboard, which could be cool too, because I know a lot of bands from Michigan especially who have just done that. They've just taken the recording from the soundboard and then they throw together some kind of cover for it, super cheap, boom, knock it out, and you've got a live album that you can pass out. And most of the time, I think most of the time, if someone's doing sound, like there was a venue on the other side of the state, Callahan's Music Hall, and they were more of like a blues. They had a lot of blues artists come through, like rock and blues artists, and he basically said, like, I can record the whole thing for $50. So we paid $50. He recorded the live show from us, and so we were able to have a live album. And it was,
That's
even though it was
sweet.
all covers, it was still a lot of fun because that was my
Right.
first experience being in a band, and it was just super cool because it was just like at $50 and you got a live album. So and then
That's
you can
awesome.
just make
Nice.
copies of it,
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I think it's just finding the right venue,
Yeah, well,
the right sound, and
Yeah, Scott, the sound guy over at the Music Factory, he does that for local bands.
really.
Yeah. We actually went for our album release. He's like, oh man, he's like, I wish, we should have talked about it a little more. He's like, I would have brought my, extra hard drive.
Oh,
And
shoot.
He's like, he's like,
Coulda, woulda, shoulda.
yeah, I know,
That
right?
would've been
Right,
so
right.
cool.
He's like, we could have got a live cut of the whole album because we're doing the album release.
Yeah.
And he's really cool about all that stuff over there.
That's sweet.
Yeah, that's a venue that's really looked out for us. I mean, me and Anthony personally over
Yeah.
like the last 5 years since we've been playing there.
We played
like,
there a lot.
Yeah, like
It's like home for us.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been trying to get over there as well, and hopefully the Edge can start having a little bit more presence, especially in the local music scene as well. Because, like I said, that's really what I want to try to get into with this podcast, and really just with the station in general. There's a huge opportunity here in Battle Creek and in Kalamazoo to expose people to music that it just isn't played on the radio, and there's no reason for it because Michigan pumps out so much quality music that is gonna blow up. And
Yeah.
you just take a look at the quality and the type of music that they're playing, and it's bound for success. And you gotta not take advantage of that, but you gotta recognize it, and you gotta help these bands out. Because there's so many times where you'll have these bands that get together, they write amazing music, they're grinding, and the music industry is just turning their back on them because they're only looking at the dollar signs, and you're like,
Exactly.
no, like I'm trying to survive here,
Right.
you
You
know?
could have
Yeah.
the greatest thing in the world, but if nobody ever hears it, what good's it gonna do?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I want to play a song off of the album. It's called "Take You Home." What was the inspiration for this song? Was it written specifically about somebody, or because this jumped right out at me when I was listening to the album?
Yeah. Isn't this song? Didn't you write this about meeting Dagon?
Oh yeah, of course. No, this was a song that I used to go to parties at Western, and I'm shy and nervous and an introvert most of the time, and I, like it's pretty much based off an experience where I went to a party with some friends, saw a really attractive girl, and thought about what, you know, what I would do if I could talk to her, but I didn't. I just sat there and drank beer. and then I went home and wrote the song.
I should have talked to her.
Yeah, you know.
Oh, well.
Woulda, shoulda.
Whatever.
Yeah. Well, this is Take You Home from This Is Not the End off the debut album, Grin and Bear It. Enjoy.
Cause I just need to know. There's just one thing I need to ask. Just one thing I need to ask. Before I leave, I've got a question. What would you do to me if I took you back to my place? Would you stay the night, or would you leave before daylight? What would you do to me if I gave you all of my heart? Would you please me or just tease me? I'd like to know. Would you please me or just tease me? I'd like to know before I take you home.
All right, back with the most crucial podcast with This Is Not the End, band from Kalamazoo. How would you guys describe your music? How would you categorize it?
Oh,
Here we go.
Oh no! I guess old school genre wise, like pop punk.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that's
Like
as
early
far- yeah, as far
2000s
as
kind
the
of
album,
feel.
Yeah, and like our newer songs too, they're not as pop punk. I mean, we wrote
Yeah.
one that's really, I mean, yeah, we got one new song that's pretty pop punk, but like
We got some darker
It's
stuff.
more like
yeah,
alternative
yeah,
rock.
We really
It's
got
kind
like
of
that
turning
mid
into.
2000s like alternative, like My Chemical Romance, The Used kind of
Meets the
sound.
Foo Fighters a little bit.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, and I
Yeah.
hate to categorize bands and say you sound like this because
Right.
every band sounds different. But I got that for some reason. I was just hit with that when it reminded me when I was listening to the album. It reminded me, especially after the song we just heard, "Take Me Home." It was like, man, this really is reminiscent of Bleed American, like Jimmy Eat World. It was really weird.
Right
like when I
on,
was listening
right
to
on.
it,
Yeah.
I was just like, wow. I was like, right off the bat, I was just getting those vibes.
Yeah.
And that's what's kind of cool about it is that, that may not have been a direct inspiration, but for someone like me and like my personal taste in music, when I heard it, I was like, that's when you know that you're listening to something quality. When you can listen to it and like, that sounds really unique. And it also kind of reminds me of this, but that's how interest is born. When somebody can hear something and go, that kind of reminds me of this, but it's not.
Yeah.
You know,
it's
the difference between that and, you know, Greta Van Fleet, which, all props and respect to the guys, but the main argument against them is they're like, they sound like the Led
Carbon
Zeppelin.
copy situation.
They wear their influences on their sleeve.
Yeah.
Right.
They're talented though, man.
Super talented. And they've met the right people and they've branded themselves. That was basically, you know, that couldn't fail.
Yeah.
You know, because people love feeling nostalgic about things. And when you have a band that comes out, which is, you know, bred out of talent, and then, you know, you can easily hear the influence there. People are going to get excited about it. But there's a lot of unique bands in Michigan besides them, and no offense to them, because they've done awesome things. They've been a part of festivals and they've, you know, been opening for huge bands. But we want to get other bands that opportunity. You know, they're doing fine now. They don't need our help. You know, they won't even talk to me. So, you know.
We'll talk to you.
Exactly.
Yeah, what are you doing tomorrow, man?
Yeah, exactly.
You free tonight?
But that's the thing. They were in the same position, too, at one point. They were just building a slow fan base, and that's how it works. And sometimes it works quicker for some bands than it does others. And I'm not going to say it's because they sound like Led Zeppelin. Could be. But who knows? It literally is about meeting the right people, talking to them, forming relationships, and just being down to earth.
Oh yeah.
You know, and I have a friend who's really good buddies with those guys, and it kind of, you know, irks him a little bit when he sees people talking trash, because he's like, dude, they're not terrible human beings here.
Yeah, I've seen interviews with them. They look they sound really down to earth.
Yeah, they seem chill.
And plus being from Michigan,
you know, you get that
Christmas
big, you're always
town.
gonna have haters.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, anything you do, people only want to see you fail, and
Can't escape that.
Yeah, it's a cynical way of looking at life, and you just have to, it's very easy to fall into that, but you got to do your best to just focus on yourself. And I even learned that in radio early on in my career, where a lot of people were getting big opportunities, and I was sitting here like, I'm a freaking yes man for you people. I'm doing everything. I'm sacrificing sleep. I'm sacrificing, you know, time to myself to help you guys out, and you're not doing anything for me. And then I see other people who I work with getting these big opportunities, and I'm, you know, it's very easy to be like, what the hell? You know, but instead you got to be like, that doesn't concern you. Their life and their situation has no effect on you. And you don't even know what they're going through at the same time. They may be going through, now, you know, you may think, oh, they've got this awesome opportunity. Well, they've also got this new set of stress levels that they've never had before.
Right.
And the anxiety and the stress and the pressure to succeed. So, you know, it's a very directional point of view if you're just going to sit there and bash on somebody and act like, oh, their life is all golden now. It's like, well, no, now you guys got to live up to it, you know. You've been built up. Now show that you can sustain it, you know.
Right.
And that's a big thing, especially with music. And that's why it's just best to stick to what you have, stick to what you know, support other people, and just be humble. Just be humble and help each other out. Like, that's really what the scene, I feel, is all about.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Is that a egg timer?
I think so. Dagon's playing with a timer.
Sorry, he's got a cool
10-second timer.
You put too many,
sand timer on a pencil.
you put too many toys in front of the
Yeah, I know.
I didn't even notice that. So, do you guys have any shows coming up?
Yeah. January 11th, we were playing at the Music Factory.
Okay.
And that's going to be a free show. So.
And we're playing with Two-Faced Wilson, LC Binks, and Drop Dirty. We'll
Awesome.
be at
It's going to be a great night.
We're pending on of Saints and Scoundrels out of South Bend. They most likely will be joining us too.
Yes.
Cool.
If you haven't checked those guys out, check those guys out.
They have a great sound.
Yeah.
They have a great sound of Saints and Scoundrels.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm definitely going to be out there for that because, like I said, especially if there's any local music or musicians out there, we highly encourage them to get a hold of me or us. You can message us on Facebook, 1049 The Edge. You know, comment on any of our stuff, really, and that's what it's all about. Mitch, how did you even get a hold? I can't remember how you got a hold of me originally.
I think was it Anthony? Was it Hope that got a hold first?
I believe so. I believe it was my wife that had reached out because she listens to the radio station quite a bit.
Oh, cool.
She knew that you did a lot of podcasts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she tried to get a hold of us there.
That's awesome.
Or get us hooked up with you.
That worked out good. And it
Worked out wonderfully.
Yeah, the last couple of months have been crazy. I know I've been trying to set it up too because there's so many things on the list that we have to do, and we're a small market, so we wear tons of different hats here.
Oh yeah.
And so even the podcast for a while, it was just there's so many things piling up, and it was just I finally we got order of everything, we got everything, all our ducks in a row, and I was like, okay, we got to move in on this, and we got to start crushing this out again because it's super important to me. Like I said, supporting the local music scene and getting out there and discovering new music is extremely important. A lot of people are afraid, I feel, of new things and trying new things. They get in their comfort zone and they just want to stick to it.
Oh yeah, they get in a rut.
Yeah, I think that's my biggest complaint. It's like, and again, no offense, but like people will go out and they'll spend, how many hundreds of dollars going to see Kid Rock 5 nights in a row, or Bob Seger 6 nights in a row, and I'm like, they don't need your money.
Yeah.
They're fine.
You come see us for like
Gotta love Bob Seger.
The next show, you can come see us for free.
Yeah, hell yeah.
For real,
Buy a t-shirt.
Or a hat.
Yeah, if you like it, buy a CD. Just show us some support if you like it. Even give us a like on Facebook.
And music is, absolutely. Yeah. This is not the end. You can search them on Facebook as well. And that's another important thing. And I think, I don't know if you guys agree with me on this, but like, I feel, especially with bands nowadays, it's getting back to that old mentality of, okay, we got to do this ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a lot easier to do it nowadays with technology.
Because we screen print our own merch. We put the CD out itself. We paid to have it recorded ourselves. Paid to have the CD printed. I mean, it's all been self-funded, self-made, if you will.
That's perfect.
A lot of teamwork too.
Yes.
Absolutely. But I think it's important, especially because with the way the music industry is now, it's, you can have free music on your fingertips. I mean, you go to YouTube, a lot of people won't buy the album because they go to YouTube. You can download the thing off YouTube. Now they're not, now you're losing out on money. And, as much as I love to give Lars from Metallica crap for being Lars from Metallica, he was absolutely right in the sense of, like, we're getting freaking ripped off.
Yeah.
Spotify.
Yeah, Spotify, Pandora, all that.
Yeah.
Kind of
And it's tough because you do make an income off of that, but not at the rate that you should. This company is making millions and millions of dollars.
You're getting less than a penny for a stream,
right?
Yeah, it sucks.
Exactly. It's pretty crappy. But when I go and see a band now, I'm more like, I want to get some merch because I know that's money that they've put into that. I want to listen to their music, so obviously that's the most important thing. But that's why bands are so big on merch. In fact, I remember a story about when this whole thing with Napster and all that stuff happened, and I remember Bruce Dickinson from Maiden was like, is there any way we can find out where people were downloading our music from and where they were streaming it from? And they were like, well, yeah. And they're like, okay, figure it out, and then book shows there. And so that's what they did, and they made a ton of merchandise.
You know where your market is.
And with merchandise, if you've got the money and you make a big investment, you can get a ton of it for super cheap at a in a bulk price.
Especially if you're doing it yourselves, like we do, screen printing it ourselves. I mean, you get shirts for cheap, and in turn, you can even sell them for cheaper than other people who are going through companies to get it, because that company's got to make a markup on it too. You've got to make a markup, but if you cut out the middleman.
Oh, that's huge. Yeah, the fact that you guys have your own screen printing gig is like, that takes a lot of...
It's pretty awesome.
And again, it's so helpful too, because it really is not only supporting the band, but, it's basically like a walking billboard, merchandise is.
Yeah, exactly.
And you'll glance at it and be like, huh. And if something catches your eye, you'll look it up. And luckily, because of the the technological world we live in, you can basically just go, oh, there it is.
Yeah. Within seconds of hearing of it, you can be listening to the whole album.
Exactly. So I think that's the important thing, too. And especially going back to, the free show that you guys have coming up. You said January 11th at the Music Factory?
Yeah, it's Saturday, yep.
I mean, that's huge. It's a free show. There's tons of free entertainment there. You can
go out.
Great bands. Support a bunch of great local bands as well. And just discover some new music. Have fun. do something different for a change.
Yeah, I can guarantee that every band there will not disappoint.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they are all amazing bands.
That's a lot of fun, and that's where it's at. And that's like I said, that's the big, that's the hardest part about it right now is that people are very stuck in their ways. They're afraid to try new things because it's more comfortable to just kind of hermit yourself. And no, man, you got to get out. You got to support this local music. It's so crucial if you want new music, and especially if you're the kind of person who sits there and is cynical about the state of the music industry. And it's like, well, then go out and see a local show, support somebody.
Like, you never know, your new favorite band could be living right down the road from you, and you might not know about it yet if you don't go out and check it out.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's how I got into hardcore, because like I'd met a girl right out of high school that introduced me to band Poison the Well, and I was like, I'd never heard anything like this before, and I was like, whoa.
There's a whole new world out there.
What is this?
Yeah, I thought Slipknot was the angriest thing I had heard. But these guys, these guys are like me, and they've just been through a bunch of crap, and this is their outlet. And there was so many bands like that. But then I ended up working with my buddy Saunders, who was like, yeah, I'm in a band, and I was like, what kind of music? He's like, it's like hardcore metal. And I went out and saw them, and instantly I was blown away. I couldn't believe how good. And they were named after a Detroit urban legend, the Nain Rouge, the Red Dwarf. And it was a bad luck omen that's supposedly been seen before major disasters in Detroit. So that kind of was a perfect
perfect way to describe them.
Perfect symbolism for what would be. But they were incredible, and I could not believe. I was like, Saunders, that freaking ruled, man. I was like, I love this. And it was instantly became my favorite band, but more than that, they became family and friends to me. And then I, through them, discovered all this amazing music. I'm friends with Davison Sarai. She's in a band called Hard Candy. Originally, she was in a band called Two Stars Burning Sun out of Kalamazoo. And they were an early hardcore band, like late 90s, early 2000s, that I listened to. And I only recently just met her a couple of months ago, like officially. And now she does the Crucial Squared Circle wrestling podcast with me.
Oh, cool.
So it's weird how that stuff comes around, but that's, all from taking a chance, all from going out and seeing live music. You meet new friends, you discover new music, and that's the importance of going to shows.
Full circle like that too.
Right. Just because you don't know or never heard of, like, just do something different. You could go out and do the same thing that you always do, or you could go to a free show and discover new music.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I hope that we get a solid turnout for your show, January 11th. How long ago did Grin and Bear It come out?
October 12th.
Yeah.
I believe is when we released it. Yeah.
Been out for about almost 2 months.
Almost. Yeah.
Gotcha. Now the way you guys play your show, like, and this is obviously just the beginning of your band, obviously. You mentioned that there were some new songs that you guys had that you're playing live right now, right?
We have not played them live yet.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, January we will be playing a couple songs.
Yes, you'll hear
testing them
at
out.
least two new ones that are not on the album.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that's more incentive to come out to it.
That's a
hell yeah.
If you dig our stuff.
2 new song guarantee.
Nice. That's
Maybe
awesome. But that's cool though, because how do you guys plan on doing that? Do you plan on playing the album that you've written so far for the next year or so, and writing tunes in the meantime, and then when you've got it locked down again, are you planning on recording something next year?
That's the plan.
Yeah, right now we're actually in the process of recording the new songs.
Cool.
Just like demos.
Yeah, pretty much recording
like,
demos.
Scratch tracks,
Yeah,
basically.
I got like a setup in my house, and like it's actually sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it does.
Surprisingly.
Nice.
But yeah, we want to promote the album, and then like test out the new songs at shows, sort of thing. Yeah, see what the response is like.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Well, January 11th is the date. The Music Factory, Battle Creek. I'm going to be out there. This is not the end. Are you guys going to be headlining that show?
We still headlining?
Yeah, initially we were headlining. I think we're not. Yeah, I mean technically we were headlining, but the lineup's changed a little bit.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, either way, get there early, have some fun.
We'll be there.
And they'll be there. Buy Grin and Bear It debut album. This is not the end. Guys, thanks for coming in today, and we'll see you at the Music Factory.
All right. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.